everybody. Today on Steadfast, I'm just going to basically give you a quick little update, a little bit more about me and about what's going on with Life Choices Women's Clinic, and just some thoughts on the pro-life movement in general. The reason why I'm doing this is because I actually got to interview Myra Rodriguez. If you don't know her, she was the executive director of Planned Parenthood. She worked for them for 17 years. She has an amazing story, and I interviewed her last week. But we talked for an hour and a half. So I have quite a bit of editing I'm going to do, and I'm going to actually take part of that podcast and put it into the Steve Carlin interview that I have. I did that one probably a month and a half ago or so, and Steve is from 40 Days for Life, and we talk about sidewalk counseling, and sidewalk counseling has a big part in Myra's conversion story. So I wanted to combine those two together. So basically what I'm trying to say is that I have a lot of work to do and I'm a little bit behind. So I'm making this podcast episode instead in the meantime. And then next week I will release both episodes of Myra and Steve's interviews. So on that note, we have many more guests coming on. I'm just going to talk about a couple of them, I guess, because I don't want to give too much away or get ahead of myself. Becky Green is going to come talk to us about raising pro-life kids and incorporating that into a homeschooling curriculum. Sister Bethany Madonna is going to come talk to us about the feminine heart and that, importance in the pro-life movement. Mike Phelan is going to come and talk about marriage, and I'm really excited. There's a lot of great things happening, and maybe a week or two ago, I was in the Adoration Chapel at St. Maria Goretti, and I was just like, God, if you want this podcast to happen or to keep happening, these are the X, Y, and Z of what I need or I need to change or I need help on. And since that prayers have been answered, and I've just been feeling really affirmed and very, very, very grateful to God and to my community, really. So on this podcast, we are going to be changing up the format a wee bit. We're going to make it more of a conversation. That was one of the feedback part, one of the comments, some feedback that I received was that I'm not talking a whole lot, and that's true. I've just been listening and learning from people, but someone did point out to me that I have been in ministry for, 8-9 years, and I can contribute to the conversation, which I really appreciated kind of being called out like that. So in the future, after these interviews with Myra and Steve, I will be changing the format a wee bit and making this more of a conversation, and it's going to be exciting, and I think I'm going to add 1 or 2 segments to the podcast, and that is the goal for now. That's what we're looking at. I actually have to admit that I never wanted to be in a pro-life career. I was always pro-life, and I think I may have said this in the first episode of this podcast, but I never really had much of a desire to be a part of this, and it's really because I'm so sympathetic that it just kind of hurts, and it just fills me with dread thinking about abortions. But I found myself in this pro-life career, and I've jumped in, and just in the past 2 months, 1.5 months really, I've been to the 40 Days for Life Symposium in Texas. I went to the Respect Life Luncheon and the A to Women's Gala. There are 2 things that I noticed that I want to talk about. One are the women who are secure in themselves and secure in the Lord bring the most joy to the room. I'm definitely thinking specifically of Sister Bethany Madonna and Becky Green in particular, which is part of the reason why I'm so happy they're going to join us for this podcast. They are present. They delight in you. And these are the women that make you feel seen, known, and loved. And even my husband was talking to them, and he was just like, that. They were the highlight of the night. They were just so joyful and just so much fun to talk to. And I think it's because they are filled with God's joy. They're secure in God's joy and love. And they're just taking the time to see you and know you and love you. And unfortunately, I know a lot of people who are not good at being present. And I'm sure I am not. I know that I'm not very good at being present because I'm, a worrier, which means that I'm thinking about what's going to happen in the next few minutes. So something I'm working on, being more present and just delighting in the person in front of me. And so that was something that I noticed was so beautiful about these pro-life events. Even the woman that at the 40 Days for Life Symposium, just being so aware of the people around her and the opportunities that she has around her to serve, that when we had the buffet at the hotel, she just took a whole plate and went out to the streets of Houston and was just trying to find homeless people. And it wouldn't have even occurred to me to be like, look at all this free food. Let's go find somebody. I was thinking, I didn't even have time to go to the buffet. I was like, I have to go. I have to go to the symposium. I am going to be late. I have to check out. And I was so preoccupied with myself that I wasn't thinking about the opportunities that I had right in front of me to serve. And I laughed because my thought was, now that's pro-life. Taking care of all stages. One of my good friends just says womb to tomb. And I think that's beautiful. The second thing that I loved about these 3 events is really the deep desire for change and for action. For me, I know that I personally have had in the past a lot of dread and just a feeling of hopelessness, and it can be so overwhelming, right? Because when you think about the reality that we are able to legally kill our children, it can be overwhelming, right? But thankfully, the sadness and the outrage over the murder of innocent children can be turned into action. It should make you want to do something. When you hear about how in a DNC, the baby will be ripped apart and suctioned out of the womb, you should be upset. And when you hear about how it's somebody's job to piece together the pieces of the baby to make sure that the doctor didn't leave any parts behind in the mother's womb, you should be disgusted and heartbroken. After hearing Abby Johnson speak last night at the Aid to Women Gala, I feel like I've been feeling like, oh my gosh, I just need to work. And I'm clacking away on my computer. I'm trying to make a new website for Life Choices, trying to get Life Choices Women's Clinic Instagram going, writing down all these ideas. But I have to remember this, and I'm sure you do too. It starts with our family. And yes, we're working on changing things and impacting the world, but we should also be working on building a pro-life life in our family and friends as well. And if you need any ideas, shameless plug, tune in a couple weeks to hear my conversation with Becky Green about raising pro-life kids and incorporating that into a homeschooling program. So I'm going to explain my job a wee bit. I'm thinking that, unfortunately, if you tuned into this podcast for the past 6 episodes, you might be like, who the heck is this chick talking to, really cool people? First of all, I was hired end of April, beginning of May, to be the education coordinator at Life Choices Women's Clinic. What the heck does that mean? I get to go to parishes and schools and give pro-life presentations, and I bring the Hope Mobile and we do a live ultrasound. I should explain, the Hope Mobile is this delightful bus, this big pink and purple bus, and we can do STD tests on it, we can do pregnancy tests on it, and we can do ultrasounds. And so I bring the bus and I give presentations tonight. I'm so excited because I get to go to a parish and the youth minister is actually pregnant and the teens don't know. So I'm going to give this pro-life presentation, and at the end of the presentation, I'm going to say, all right, anybody basically, is there a pregnant woman in the house? Can we do an ultrasound? And the youth minister will come up, and that's how we're going to share the news with the teens. And the teens are actually going to be able to see their youth minister's baby. And I'm just so excited. I'm definitely going to get it on film, and on film. It's 2022. People don't say that, but I'm going to get it on my phone so that way I can put it up on our Instagram. If you want to check out our Instagram, it is Life Choices Women's Clinics with an S. And then, so there's that. So I have my pro-life nights. I go to schools, I go to parishes, bring the bus. I talk about a variety of talks. If you want me to come and talk about STDs, I will. Will I show pictures? I hope not. But get to explain birth control and how most birth control is abortifacient. I get to talk about abstinence, all this great stuff. So there's that part of my job. I also coordinate Girl Talk, Guy Talk, which is at the clinic. It's for middle school and high school. We split them up, boys and girls, and there's one session per month. And we deep dive into topics. So this semester, it's abortion and being pro-life in today's culture. Next semester, it's going to be STDs, birth control, abstinence. And really, the focus will be God's plan is better than, plan A, plan B, plan C. Then I have Steadfast. So not just the podcast, but we also have a leadership group that help out. These are upperclassmen and college students that help out with Girl Talk, Guy Talk. But also we're going to go take the Hope Mobile and we're going to pray outside abortion clinics. We're going to go to ASU campus and we're going to have a table. We're going to talk to people. It's going to be probably pretty rough, so pray for us. But we are really excited because we are trying to empower upperclassmen, college students, while preparing the younger students to be leaders and to be able to defend themselves. And that's something that I'm very passionate about. Last week's episode with Father Parks, we talked about some logical arguments. My background is I'm an English major and a philosophy and French minor. And also, if this means anything to you, I was a Great Hearts kid, which means I argued or debated or talked about what we thought for 10 hours a week during high school. And it's served me well. I love it. I think this is why I'm actually in this job. I come at the pro-life argument from a very logical standpoint. As a youth minister, I would make curriculums for the semester and go through all the hot topics, but I would go through the logical reasons, the emotional reasons, and the theological reasons why you should be on board. So if it was, Catholic Church's stance on gay marriage or abstinence or abortion, I'm not going to just give you, this is what the church says, because there is going to be a TN that's sitting there that's saying, I don't care what the church says, and I don't care what God says. So appealing to the different ethos, pathos, logos, the emotion, credibility, logic, even the science, that's where the credibility comes in, right? 96% of biologists say that life begins at fertilization. Those are the kind of things that we cover. In fact, for Girl Talk, Guy Talk this semester, I think I just went over the whole presentation with our volunteers yesterday, and I don't think we even said God once. It was, the pro-life argument is not a religious argument. And I think that people, especially in the past, it used to be religion versus freedom and, get your religion away from me and I can be free to do what I want. Now it's kind of more like, hey, science says this, and pro-choicers are coming from an emotional stance. Like they are coming from an emotional place when they're making their argument, and they are arguing the exception where, sure, maybe it's a life because science says this, but it's justified in killing it for X, Y, and Z, and they're all emotional reasons. Which also means that we have to meet them where they're at and take care of them emotionally. I don't know if you all saw Lila Rose and, Lila Rose on Dr. Phil this week. That was rough, am I right? But one of the ladies in the audience was just yelling at Lila Rose, and she took it so gracefully, was very calm. I don't know if I could have stayed that calm when someone was yelling at me, but clearly this woman was coming from a place of anger and hurt and emotion, and we can't meet them where they're at there. We have to be calm and loving, and we can't rise to the occasion. We have to keep in mind that there are some pro-choice people that are coming from an emotional hurt place that really just needs God's love and mercy. A little update on life choices. We just had our big fundraiser. It is called Laugh for Hope. It's an annual event. We have a comedy night, and we had 3 awesome comedians come in, and it was just beautiful. I was so lucky that I sat right in front of the Sisters of Life, and the Sisters of Life were just cracking up. Especially Sister Bethany Madonna said they just couldn't help laughing about all the jokes on marriage as they're sitting there, with their beautiful habits, and they're like, all these marriage jokes are so funny. And she said that got them laughing for days. So that was very successful. And we are actually working on building an OBGYN. Before I publish this episode, I should probably check with my boss to make sure that's okay with me announcing. But we're working on it. We're so excited about it. We're coming up with names. We're trying to get to the point where we can offer prenatal care. Because right now at Life Choices, we do pregnancy tests, STD tests, IUD removals, ultrasound. We have very low prices. If you don't have insurance, low prices are available. And If you can't pay for it, we'll pay for it. I think last I heard from Sheila, the executive director, we were paying for about 50% of all appointments. So we don't turn anyone away. We offer counseling. We offer counseling for abortion-minded women. We want to take care of their mental state, their emotional state, their spiritual state. So in this OBGYN, we're not just going to be focused on prenatal care, but we're also going to be making sure that we take care of those postpartum ladies that are depressed that need help, or even if maybe they were super anxious before getting pregnant, so they, maybe they smoked a lot of weed to help their anxiety. Well, now you're pregnant. You shouldn't be doing that. So how can we help you with your anxiety in a natural way or in a different way so that it will take care of you and your baby? So these are all great things that Life Choices is doing, and we are actually hiring. So if you're interested in that, I'll put it on our Instagram. It's at Life Choices Women's Clinics on Instagram, and I will post those 2 job postings. And I invite you to check it out, or at the very least, just pray for us that we will find the right people to build up this this clinic. I know that COVID took a hit on everybody, and we are not an exception to that. And now I'm going to introduce a new segment called You Make Baby Jesus Laugh. This is an ode to the David and Craig show. Craig Plen was my youth minister back in middle school and high school, and we're still friends. And he and David Lenz made a podcast. This was before podcasts were cool. They were like the hipsters of podcasts. And they had the David and Craig show. And they had a segment called You Make Baby Jesus Cry. And unfortunately, with a pro-life podcast, a lot of this is going to make baby Jesus cry. So instead, we are going for You Make Baby Jesus Laugh. So here it is. I hope you enjoy. And let's go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex, Sammy's husband, here to crash the Steadfast podcast to bring you a new segment called You Make Baby Jesus Laugh. In this segment, we're going to tell each other a wacky story we found out there in the ether. The weirder, the better. We're going to invite you to jump on the Steadfast Instagram and vote for your favorite each time. I think we'll keep a tally so we can have bragging rights and you can get a hearty chuckle. Let's just get into it.
Are you ready? Because I'm pretty sure that mine... I know. I'm pretty sure that mine's gonna... I'm even gonna sing for you.
Should I go first? Oh, okay. I should go first.
Okay, you go first.
Okay, so there's this man driving his car on a road trip. In Missouri, his car starts to overheat. He makes this unplanned stop. He's in Donovan. At this general store, he stops. He has nothing else to do, so he wanders around the general store, trying to figure out what to do with his car. He buys a Fun Fives scratch-off ticket, scratches it off while he's sitting there waiting, trying to figure out what to do, and he wins $100,000. He hands it to the woman across the counter, and his quote was, "Sweet mother, Jesus, I guess it was my day." They asked him what he planned to do with the money, and he said, "I think I'm going to buy a new car."
Mine's so much funnier. This is the headline. Wanted Oregon man attempts to flee arrest in slow-moving excavator. Deputies follow on foot.
Excavator.
Yeah, literally. We're parents of 2 toddlers. My first thought is, excavator, hey dirt, see you later. Yep, so there's pictures. And this man had 3 arrest warrants and was wanted for stealing a car. And they found him driving an excavator on a property in Washington. Washington. And I guess that he drove for 1.5 miles in the slow-moving excavator. And it says, the deputies plodded behind the vehicle in pursuit. He just refused to get out of the excavator.
I'm going to chase you down in my Amish buggy.
Yeah, it's like, okay. I'm like, no, I mean, I'm sure that it's not that fast. Why couldn't the police have just jumped onto the excavator and, like, thrown him off? I don't know, taken over control. Maybe I should watch Blippi again and see what kind of doors the excavator has. Maybe that was impossible. But I think that would make baby Jesus
I told
laugh.
you about how Shiloh pushed the button on the thing, on the toy at the Airbnb. So Shiloh, I was like, "Shiloh, what is this vehicle?" And she said, And I said, is it an excavator? And then I started to sing the song, and she goes, no, it's not an excavator. And she pushes the button, and it starts singing, and it's like, hi, I'm a bulldozer. And she goes, bulldozer, see?
Thank you, Blippi, for teaching our child all about construction. We really appreciate it.
Certainly come in handy later.
I think mine's a clear win. To the point where I might let you do another one.
Isn't the whole point of this that the audience decides?
I mean...
Everybody likes a good Missouri windfall.
Missouri windfall. I mean, he won the lottery and is going to buy a car. Mine, he's literally running away from the police while they're just walking behind him.
Empire.
Oh my gosh. You know what I just realized is that the reason why your story is funny is because his car was broken down.
Oh my goodness. Did you not?
I didn't get it. Yeah. It's like, so what? He wants to buy a new car. His car had broken down, and then he won the lottery. Okay. All right. Well, it's a little funnier now.
It's like he hit rock bottom in the middle of Missouri in Nowheresville, bought a lottery ticket because why the hell not, and then wham.
We can't say why the hell not.
Because why not? And so he buys a lottery ticket because why not, and then wham, 6 figures right into your bank account.
It's just called Jesus Loves You. But maybe Jesus is also laughing.
I find it funny that he found something approachable immediately in his head. I mean, maybe because it was on his mind, but after taxes, that's right about the cost for a brand new truck or something. I assume it's a truck because he's in Missouri.
Missouri. Well, maybe that would be a better getaway car than an excavator. Just saying.
You should team up with Excavator guy and let him know next time.
Yeah, I don't think anyone. He actually stole a car, so you know.
Oh,
yeah. 3 arrest warrants. He probably doesn't want to team up with that guy. Okay, so that was You Make Baby Jesus Laugh. Please vote on our Instagram, The Steadfast Podcast, and let us know who was funnier. Or, you know, which story was funnier. But know that we're definitely keeping tally of, you know, Sammy versus Alex. So, anyway, we will be talking to Myra Rodriguez next week about her experience working at Planned Parenthood. And until then, I hope you have a great week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.